The year is 399 BC. The city of Athens is recovering from a long and humiliating defeat in the Peloponnesian War. The mood in the city is one of fear, suspicion, and anger. In this tense city, a 70-year-old man named Socrates wanders the marketplaces, barefoot and seemingly unbothered. Socrates is not a politician or a wealthy man. He is a philosopher who has dedicated his life to one thing: the search for truth. His method is simple but powerful. He goes to the men who claim to be the wisest, the politicians, the poets, the artisans, and he asks them simple questions: what is justice? What is courage? What is virtue? Through his relentless, logical questioning, these so-called wise men are soon tied in knots, unable to defend their own beliefs. Their ignorance is exposed for all to see. The young men of Athens love Socrates for this. They follow him around, watching him dismantle the reputations of the most powerful people in the city. But this has also made him many powerful enemies. Men who were humiliated by his questions now see him as a threat. They believe he is undermining the traditions of Athens and turning the youth against the city's gods and government. Finally, 3 men, Miletus, Anytus, and Lyco, bring formal charges against him. The accusations are, first, corrupting the youth of Athens, and second, impiety, which means not believing in the city's gods and introducing new ones. The day of the trial arrives. Socrates must defend himself in front of a jury of 500 Athenian citizens. Instead of begging for his life, as was common, Socrates delivers a powerful defense of his life and his philosophy, famously recorded by his student Plato as the Apology. He tells the jury he is not a paid teacher. He explains that his mission came from the oracle at Delphi, which claimed no man was wiser than Socrates. Confused by this, Socrates set out to find someone wiser, only to discover that those who claimed to be wise knew nothing. He concludes that his only wisdom is that he knows nothing. He compares himself to a gadfly, a biting insect sent by the gods to sting the lazy horse of Athens, waking it up and forcing it to think about truth and justice. He makes it clear he will not stop, even if they threaten him with death. As long as I have breath and strength, he declares, I will never stop practicing philosophy. The jury listens and they vote. It is a close vote, but Socrates is found guilty. Now, the trial enters the sentencing phase. The accusers propose their penalty, death. The defendant, Socrates, must propose an alternative. Everyone expects him to suggest exile, leaving Athens forever, or a large fine, which his friends would gladly pay. Socrates, however, refuses to compromise. He stands before the jury and says that he has spent his entire life serving the city by making it better. Therefore, for his crime, he deserves a reward, not a punishment. He proposes that he should be given free meals for life in the Prytaneum, the sacred hall reserved for Olympic heroes. This proposal is seen as the ultimate insult. The jury is enraged. They vote again on the penalty. This time, far more jurors vote for death than had voted him guilty. Socrates is sentenced to die by drinking a poison called hemlock. He accepts the verdict with complete calm. He looks at the jurors who condemned him and says, "The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our separate ways, I to die and you to live. Which of us goes to a better place is known only to God." Socrates is taken to prison to await his execution, which is delayed for several days due to a religious festival. During this time, his friends and students visit him. One morning, his oldest and wealthiest friend, Crito, comes before dawn. Crito has a plan. He has bribed the guards and arranged for a boat. He begs Socrates to escape and flee to another city. Socrates refuses. He calmly asks Crito to sit and reason with him. He argues that he has lived his entire life under the protection of the laws of Athens. These laws educated him, allowed him to marry, and gave him his rights as a citizen. He has an unwritten, social contract with the city. Now that the laws have convicted him, even if unjustly, would it be right for him to break those laws and escape? He asks Crito, "Is it ever right to repay an injustice with another injustice?" Crito agrees that it is not. Socrates concludes that escaping would be an act of injustice against the laws he agreed to live by. He chooses to stay and face his death, proving that his principles are more important to him than his life. On his final day, Socrates is surrounded by his weeping friends. But he is perfectly calm, even cheerful. He spends his last hours discussing the most important topic to him, the immortality of the soul. He argues that a true philosopher spends his entire life preparing for death, which is merely the separation of the soul from the body. Therefore, he says they should not mourn for him. As the sun begins to set, the jailer comes in weeping. He tells Socrates that he is the noblest man who has ever been in the prison. The executioner brings the cup of hemlock. Socrates asks for instructions. He is told to drink it, then walk around until his legs feel heavy, and then lie down. He takes the cup, says a brief prayer, and drinks the poison in one go, without any hesitation. His friends, who had been holding back their tears, now burst out crying. Socrates gently scolds them. "What is this strange noise? I sent the women away so we would not have this. Be quiet and be brave." He walks around as instructed. When his legs become numb, he lies down on the cot. The coldness and numbness slowly spread up his body. Just before the end, he uncovers his face one last time, looks at his friend Crito, and speaks his final words. "Crito, we owe a cock to Asclepius. Please remember to pay the debt." Asclepius was the god of healing. Socrates' last words implied that he saw death not as an end, but as a cure for the sickness of life, and his soul was now being healed and set free. Then he was silent. Socrates died, but his ideas, preserved by his student Plato, became the foundation of all Western philosophy.